Awesome.
This is great.
Yay.
Thanks for coming. I hope you're all staying warm and safe. I'm Sarah from Bookish, and I wanted to talk just for a second before I introduced Hayleigh about our Writer in Residence program. So this is something that we've kind of been bouncing around for a while, and we've known Hayleigh. Right when the store opened, we were introduced to her with her first novel, The Huntsman, when she brought that to the store. And she's just been kind of a staple since we've been here. And so as I've gotten to know her, and I've learned about her love of education and great books, she was kind of in the back of my mind as someone who could help me launch this program. So the Writer in Residence program is just another way for Bookish to sort of create that hub in our community for readers and writers to connect. If you're a writer, I'm hoping that we can offer sort of an inspirational space for you to work in. We offer discounts on any materials that Hayleigh might need to read for research. And we've created this cute, cozy little nook that she can come in and work whenever she needs to. She has 24-hour access to the shop. She also kind of has, we have connections as booksellers. And so hopefully as we get to know each other and she starts working towards her next project, we can connect her to publishers or other authors or whatever it is that she needs. On the flip side, she can help connect us to other authors and people out in the community who need great books in their lives. She'll also hopefully introduce the rest of you to some authors in town, so that we can just sort of build that community together. So that's my ultimate goal. And then hopefully, as she's connecting and networking and being a sounding board for other writers, she'll make something beautiful that we can all be excited about and support her in that. So that's kind of the end goal. So that's the quick and dirty version of our Writer in Residence program, and I'm so happy to have Hayleigh to help me flesh that out. And hopefully this is something that we do every year. New writer every year. So Hayleigh will be here until the end of October.
Yes.
And so we're super excited about that. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Hayleigh now, professionally. So Hayleigh Worgan is a freelance writer, publisher, educator, and the former editorial director for Bella magazine. In 2016, she completed her first novel, The Huntsman, a modern retelling of Red Riding Hood. Last year, she published her most recent poetry collection, I Used to Live Here. Get a copy, it's great. Through her company, Zelda Media, she also published the first issue of Persephone, a literary publication featuring independent writers from Arkansas, Virginia, and Texas. Worgan has led several writing workshops over the years, including a creative writing workshop for teenagers at South County Library in Roanoke, Virginia. She organized the first Southwest Virginia Young Writers Conference at South County Library in November of 2017. This year, she has accepted the role of adjunct creating writing teacher for Future School in Fort Smith. Through her Writer in Residence role at Bookish, Worgan will help organize 3 key literary events to serve writers and readers in the Fort Smith area. She will also focus on publishing The Prince, a sequel to The Huntsman, and seasonal issues of Persephone in 2021. So here we are. Let's welcome our introductory reading to our Writer in Residence for 2021, Hayleigh Worgan.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So I can remove my mask since
I will
you're...
put mine back on.
Okay. So thank you. Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited about being part of this and doing this role, and I'm so grateful to Sarah for asking me to participate in it. I have several different things planned for this year, and just starting off, there is an exhibit that I really want you guys to maybe think about coming by to participate in. Every month, I'm going to introduce a new theme for people to come by and leave their stories. So this month's theme, I'd like you guys to respond to a prompt. What is the happiest memory you have of loving someone? And you can come by and you can write on an index card I've provided for you these memories, and we're going to hang them around this room that I'm in. We're going to change these out, you know, as we fill up, and have an ongoing exhibit so that everyone can be part of a storytelling community. You know, I want you guys to be involved as much as possible with this, and I just want to say thank you so much for those of you who have contributed your stories so far. So, oh, hi Jack. Yay, I see you there. Hi Matthew. Hi Sarah. So thank you guys so much, and I'm gonna go ahead and well, there's one thing I wanted to say here too before I get started. To any of you who are watching, if you comment on this video, you'll be entered to win this $15 gift card from Bookish. Okay, so at the end, we'll put everyone's names in a hat or a bowl or something, and we'll let Barry choose. No, I'm kidding. We'll pull something out. We'll pull a name out, and that lucky person will get to have this $15 gift card provided by Bookish, you guys. So yes, thank you guys so much. Okay, so I thought maybe since The Huntsman was my first published piece outside of articles for Bella magazine, I thought I would start with that today and tell you guys a little bit about how it came to be. So The Huntsman, I wrote it actually in 2016, and I wrote it as part of National Novel Writing Month. And for those of you who don't know, National Novel Writing Month is in November, and you have 30 days to write 50,000 or more words. And so this is the only time I've actually completed this challenge, but it was a challenge. I mean, it's at least 1,667 words, I think, a day. And so I completed it, and then I thought, what do I do now? Because I have my novel, what am I supposed to do with it? At the time I was working at a library, and I had several friends who encouraged me to publish it. They wanted to buy it. And so I actually reached out after sending some things off to some traditional publishers and just having some trouble really understanding where I was supposed to go. I ended up reaching out to a local author in Roanoke, Virginia when I still lived there. Her name was Liz Long, and so she has some incredible books as well. I would encourage you to look her up. And she encouraged me to self-publish. So I started Zelda Media, and which is sort of a little bit of a tribute to my favorite author, Zelda Fitzgerald. And I started Zelda Media, and I published my own novel. And I'll talk a little bit more as I go through about how I decided to grow from there and take it from just something that was for me, like an individual thing for me, and try to use it as a tool to really bring other storytellers together and provide an opportunity for other people who maybe don't have that platform and don't know where to go when it comes to publishing. So The Huntsman, this is the third cover of The Huntsman. I just can't make up my mind. But I kind of like this one, and it kind of sticks out. You've got the Red Riding Hood on the side here. This is more of, it is a modern retelling of Red Riding Hood, but it's geared more towards older teens, young adults, adults kind of thing. It does deal with a lot of more difficult topics, right, such as addiction and troubling relationships and that kind of thing. So, but you know, I wrote it for people who have been through unhealthy relationships, or people who have loved someone who they've watched them go through the unhealthy relationship, right? And they're looking for this this way to escape, or they're looking for a way to encourage that person they love to really become healthy, or to let go of that unhealthy anchor, that unhealthy baggage. So the section that I thought I would read to you today is actually an exchange between the main character and her daughter. The story starts out as an exchange between mother and daughter. The 15-year-old in the story has just broken up with her boyfriend, and her mom decides to give her some advice, and she says that she wants to tell her the real story of Red Riding Hood. And so about this point in the book, it's about halfway through the book, you know, the mother has introduced the characters of Red Riding Hood and the huntsman and the wolf. And she's explained to her daughter that this is a battle between good and evil for the power of love, right? Because we all know that love can be used for good or evil. You know, it can be used in manipulation as well. And so that is, we have two angels, Jasper and Silver, in this book. Jasper represents evil and Silver represents good. And they have a very involved history as well. And the wolf is a spirit that possesses people. And the wolf has possessed the huntsman. And the huntsman has developed various addictions over time to deal with a lot of these issues and some really personal issues that are happening in his life. And the wolf has decided that it's time to move on, and he wants to possess Red Riding Hood. But there are rules in order to do this, and the wolf has to follow them. And so this is really a struggle to see if Red Riding Hood is going to be able to save herself. And so the mother in this story is talking to her daughter, Anna, and she's trying to convey that we do have the power to save ourselves. We have the power to make decisions that are going to be better and take us on better journeys, right? So I'm going to read to you from about halfway through the book here. And at this point, Anna has started to dream of the angels. And so it's becoming a little bit odd for her. She can't decide if maybe she's dreaming of them because her mother's telling the story, or if there's something more to it. Mom, I know it might sound crazy, but I've dreamt of a woman in white before. The night after you started telling me this story. It wasn't anything special. I closed my eyes when you left the room and fell asleep. I thought I woke up because I was cold, and when I opened my eyes to search for the blanket, she was there in your chair. So that's why you wanted to hear the rest of the fairy tale, I thought. Did she say anything to you, Anna? I asked, my own voice barely above a whisper. She told me I have beautiful eyes. What happened next? I shut them tight, and when I opened them, she was gone. It had to be a dream, but it felt so real. I took my hand out of the cozy warmth of the fabric and reached over to hold hers. She was shaking, but I knew that it wasn't from the cold. Anna, there are all matters of life in this world. Do not be afraid of what you don't understand. If you see her again, just ask her what she wants. Shortly thereafter, she fell asleep. The gentle lullaby of her breath and her relaxed grip on my hand calmed my own nerves. I felt myself drift to the edges of reality, and then I heard a voice crystal clear through the fog. The story is not over. Too often, it seems, we spend the majority of our lives fighting battles. Not necessarily our own, but those of the people we love. What we fail to understand every time we pick up our sword is that the experience is meaningless unless it makes us better people. No one comes into our lives with a guarantee of being there physically for a long time. Yet somehow, their impact can be felt long after they are gone, like ghosts or echoes in an empty chamber. It wouldn't matter, except for the fact that the wounds from the battles we fight for them leave scars so chilling that everyone who loves us afterwards has to stare them in the face when they take their marching orders. It's a vicious cycle, really. These are the things I considered that night while I couldn't sleep. After several hours of tossing and turning and trying not to wake up, Anna, I slipped from the warmth of the sleeping bag and retreated to the back of the tent with my notebook, pen, and flashlight. Over the years, I have collected newspaper clippings, poems, and any literary mention of the wolf. Additionally, I've made notes on his presence in my own life, including the frequency of his appearances, his promises, and his weaknesses. I think his vanity was the only thing that stopped him from ending my inquiries violently. He didn't need to speak for me to feel him pacing outside our tent. Still, I was not afraid. If the woman in white was protecting us, then we would be safe. I suddenly had a feeling that her words earlier in the evening may have been less for me and more for her lost love. I opened the notebook to a random page. Lines I vaguely remembered scrawling stared back at me. Sometimes I think we only love people until. It's a complete sentence, but it doesn't feel like it should be. We love with a love that is more than love, comparing ourselves to Poe until we realize that one fault, addiction, adultery, the way someone snores, is just too much to keep in our lives. As we get older, we compare these things to the good qualities they possess, like a college freshman compares degrees. Which will sustain us longer? Which will make us happier? If the answer is not the same, which outcome of the relationship is the right one? As the wolf haunts the world around me, I find it difficult to convey to my child the implications of choosing a life based on the belief that the one with whom you share it will never change for the detriment of your own existence. I turned the page and a photo of Red Riding Hood stared back at me. She was 17. It was just her in the photo, but the person taking it had only barely moved their finger from the lens in time. You could still see a shadow on the edge of the frame. Anyone who knew her then could have discerned from the look in her eyes that the photographer was none other than the huntsman himself. I closed the notebook and turned off the flashlight. By the light of the moon, I could see the peaceful aura of my sleeping beauty. I knew then, as it had mercifully so many times before, morning would come. Okay, so that is my little section here from the Huntsman. And Anna and her mother will continue this conversation for the rest of the book here, and the book does kind of end a little bit on a cliffhanger. I don't know if you've read it, Sarah, but yeah, so hopefully as I explore the prince even more this year, I can resolve that for everyone. So yeah, so this is available here at Bookish, so if you would like to read the rest, please come by and pick it up. Let's see, are there any questions or anything? Let's see. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for the congratulations. And Ashley, hello. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I would love to record audiobooks. That would be fun. Yeah, hi, Tommy. Thank you so much. Awesome, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, so all of you guys will be entered to win the gift card too. So thank you so much for commenting. I really appreciate it. So I thought maybe I would go on to the next thing here. As you can see, like the librarian and / teacher in me has bookmarked everything here, you guys. So I'm kind of sort of prepared, I guess. But this second book that I have here, this is my own personal poetry collection, just me, and it is called I Used to Live Here. So this photo on the front is actually a sunflower field in Buchanan, Virginia, and I'm from Roanoke, Virginia, as Sarah mentioned, and so a lot of these poems and prose pieces here have to do with my experiences in either Roanoke, Virginia, or some of them are actually from here in Arkansas, right? I moved here in 2018, and so, you know, there's a lot of overlap here in this book for those experiences. And I thought I would start with the poetry here. Oh, hi, Barry is behind me here. I don't know if you guys can see her, but she's back there. So I thought with these, not to make it awkward for anyone, but, you know, this has been a tough year for a lot of people, for everyone, really. And I did lose a couple of grandparents this past year, and so I've written a lot of poetry around loss, and, you know, the experience of that really from a distance, right? Oh, hi, Mary. She's really up here. She's part of this show. But experiencing that from a distance, right? Because, you know, we live in a time right now where sometimes saying goodbye is not possible, and definitely not in the way that we've been able to do it before, right? So this poem I actually wrote before this year, and it's about a grandparent who passed away. It's called Letters and Funerals. If you listen, Mama said, you can hear beyond sorrow. Close your eyes, my love, and feel joy rise to dry your tears. Mama isn't here, but she was. She was. That she ever saw it means hope exists, and that, you realize, is enough. So that one is called Letters and Funerals, and that Feel Joy Rise line, you know, that's something that has been very powerful for me because, you know, for some of us, repeating a mantra is quite helpful in times of stress and fear. And so I've actually printed that on a lot of things so that I can just wear it around and try to be encouraging. But it is something that deeply is felt, you know. So I also thought, now my mom doesn't have Facebook, but maybe one of her friends will show her this one day, I don't know. But I also thought I would use this time to read a poem that I wrote for my mom. So it's called To the Stars. Bury me at sea or in some bright green meadow. Return me to earth when I shed my skin. I am chasing the sunset that carries me back to the girl who waits on the steps of her front porch to hear a love song made only for her. A coffin is a prison, and I will not rest without whispering the secret I have carried. Everything precious to you is fragile. The boy will find his way home without your lighthouse. So go back inside and hug your worried mother, because life is short, and you will not heal watching the sun rise and fall on cold concrete steps. I will spend my life and any fleeting moment thereafter searching for a road to her. Dig shallow, my love, so I can find the starlight. That one is To the Stars, and that's from my mom. Thank you. So then I also thought, I do a lot of writing prompts. You guys can probably, that's probably not a surprise to anyone, right? Especially since I've been sharing, I have one here for you all to participate in. And I do a lot of writing prompts with the kids I teach, and I always participate in that as well. And I have those videos on my YouTube channel because I feel like it's important, if I give them an assignment, that I also complete it so I can set a good example for the kids. And so a lot of the poems I wrote in here actually were the result of writing prompts. So those of you who are writers, there's actually a great writing community on Instagram, and so you can start following the hashtag writing prompts and that kind of thing, and you'll see a lot of them, right? That you can really create some heartfelt content from. And one of the poems I wrote was inspired by this idea. I don't know if you guys have seen them, but the poems that if you read them one way, you can flip them back the other way and they still make sense, right? So these reverse kind of poems. And this one is called Forgiveness in Reverse. Okay. I'm gonna read it this way first, right? And then I'll let you know that I'm turning it around. If you would only smile at me between glasses of sangria, I might spill all of my secrets until the clock stops for good. Take a deep breath and tell me we're over simplifying things that matter. A shot of whiskey would lead to brutal honesty and bad decisions. Shall we toast to the finer things? The broken will stash their hearts in bottles to forget the notches on their belts. I'm flipping, okay? So, to forget the notches on their belts, the broken will stash their hearts in bottles. Shall we toast to the finer things? Brutal honesty and bad decisions. A shot of whiskey would lead to simplifying things that matter. Take a deep breath and tell me we're over until the clock stops for good. I might spill all of my secrets between glasses of sangria if you would only smile at me. Yes. Forgiveness in reverse. So, thank you. I thought I would read one more and then I'll switch over to Persephone, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about that because that's another way, if you are a writer or storyteller, that you can get involved. Hi guys. Oh, yep, cats being cats, definitely, yeah. Oh, you know, I actually have a cat and a dog at home, so I appreciate you saying I'm handling it well, but I have practice, so, okay. So I'll read one more from here, and let's see, I was thinking it might be wise to, maybe two more, they're short, yeah. So I was thinking it might be wise to give you guys another one that was actually from a prompt. Another prompt that I followed on Instagram was Once Upon a Time. And so this one came from that. There are wise magicians disguised as troubled writers who create and destroy entire universes with their pens. With all of the regret hanging over this world, even the angels weep for once upon a time. A lot of these are really short, but I find that that's a pretty common theme with poets, modern poets these days. A lot of the things are a lot shorter, and I think too, being able to have imagery placed very thoughtfully can still be powerful when you have short pieces. I notice that a lot with some of the modern poems. So anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying them, And then I have one more because I'm really hoping my friend Whitney is watching this. And so this was written for my friend Whitney, and it's written in the form of a nonet. So nonets actually start with 9 syllables and they work their way down to 1. And I like to write those a lot because I feel like they challenge me in new ways. And so this one was written about my beautiful friend Whitney. She's got a little magic hidden beneath the sunshine on her head and a bright spark in her eyes that makes you come alive and seek adventure. You will think stars were made to guide her home. So that's my friend Whitney. Okay, so I used to live here. It's got a lot of different poems and prose broken down in it, and everything has different categories. So come by, at least if you want, take a look at it, and I'd love for you to purchase it here at Bookish. And I'll sign these things for you guys too if you want. I don't know. Sometimes people want you to sign them, sometimes they don't. So, okay. So the last thing I am going to read today of mine is going to be from Persephone. So I told you guys I would kind of walk you through the Zelda media experience a little bit here. And last year I decided I wanted to, actually at the end of 2019, I decided I wanted to use whatever audience I had and share that, right, with other writers in Roanoke and Arkansas. And before the pandemic, I decided to have a podcast. So I hosted a few events. I had one at Rags and Roses in Greenwood, one at Bellstar, one at Fort Smith Brewing Company. I had one in Virginia at Evie's Bakery. And so, and one at the library there in Roanoke, Virginia too. And, we recorded these events and they're all available on a podcast on Apple, Google, Spotify, really wherever you get your podcasts, right? And people, storytellers, poets were able to come out and read their work. And then the pandemic hit, everything shut down, and I'd already started dreaming up this idea of Persephone, a literary publication. And I was able to, with all of my wonderful free time, sitting at home, to finally put the first issue together. Now this is the second issue. I think the first issue is behind me actually, with the woman laying over top of the pond with the flowers around her. I have 4 issues of Persephone. It's a quarterly literary publication, and it does feature short stories and poetry. What's so great about this, you guys? There are no entry fees. You don't have to send me money to send in your entry to potentially be published. And so you can email me at hayleighworgan@gmail.com. So you can probably see the spelling of my name right in the post there. And you can send me your poetry and your short stories. Poetry, I usually try to limit it to 3 poems per poet, and about 1,500 words or less for a short story. The coolest thing about this is that every month, each writer involved in the issues that sell, right? So every month, the writers involved in the issues split the profits evenly. This is not a way for me to just, get rich or something. This is a way for me to share the love and, for people to really get paid and get rewarded for their work and to have it published. So when you buy a Persephone, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting every writer in the issue, and you're supporting Bookish, right? So buy it from Bookish, guys, and that would be so awesome. Okay, so this is the summer issue of Persephone, and I chose this one because I actually named the main character after my grandmother. This is not a story of my grandmother's life, though, so I feel like I should toss that out there. She would not appreciate that. But, so, okay. This is called Lock and Key. The car screeched to a halt and Corinne's luggage spilled across the back seat. Thick green vines obscured the view of the house she sought just a few yards from the road. With no one behind her, she shifted into reverse, cursed the mess, and found her way into what had been the driveway of the abandoned home. For a moment, she grasped the steering wheel as she stared through the windshield. Her eyes traveled over rotting boards above the front door, to the second floor shutters, and finally came to rest intently on the attic window. There, several small pieces of paper were taped on the glass. She quickly grabbed her flashlight and cut the engine. Dusk was creeping over the horizon, and a slight fall chill bit through her red sweater. She hurried up the front porch and tried the door. It was locked. The two front windows were also immovable. Through one, she could make out a kitchen with an empty hole where a stove had been and an old green refrigerator. Just as she was about to step back, she noticed a broken window above the sink. "Looks like my luck has changed," she mumbled. Moments later, she hoisted her body up through the small opening and landed in a crouched position on the dirty kitchen floor. As her eyes adjusted to the surroundings, she watched a cockroach skitter across the tile a few feet away from her. It was enough to send her sprinting to the living room. There, a beige couch sat directly across from an old, busted box television. A large stain covered the floor near the window. She turned and placed one foot cautiously on the stairs, then the next, and rushed to the top as the wood shifted beneath her. At the opposite end of the hall, she spotted the reason she came, a curved set of stairs leading up to the attic. Corinne snuck a glance into the open, spacious bedrooms as she passed them. They gave off a gray ambiance, comforting and still. With one last look behind her, she began to climb the attic stairs and noticed a distinct change in temperature. On the first two floors, the house held the chill of autumn. The attic, however, was so warm that she removed her sweater. The damp, musky scent transformed to a honeysuckle fragrance. She slowly pushed open the attic door and was startled to find a man leaning against the window with his back to her. He looked young, around 20, with a tall, muscular build. It's too late to turn back now, she thought. Corinne took a step into the room, and her foot kicked an empty bottle across the floor. She instinctively wielded her flashlight as a weapon. At the same time, she saw the bottle poised in his hand. It flew towards her, and she felt herself falling, then colliding abruptly with the hardwood. Suddenly, the chill of the house had returned. She sat up, rubbed her arms, and examined her surroundings. The man had disappeared. She ambled to her feet and rushed to the window. Switching on her flashlight, she gasped as familiar faces stared back at her. The first was a pale young woman with blue eyes. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and her smile was brilliant and chilling. The man by the window was also in the photograph. He held the camera and was reflected in a mirror behind her. She reached out, took the photo, and was about to move to the next one when she heard his voice. "Corinne," he began, "forgive me. You see, you have your grandmother's eyes." She spun around to confront him, but the room was empty. Adrenaline sent her running down the attic stairs and past the bedrooms in the hall. The doors were shut and rattling on their posts. Downstairs, the stain in the living room was spreading. She almost passed out when she remembered her sweater. She paused, and over the smell of blood, she detected another scent. Honey. His voice shouted from the attic, "Run, Corinne," and so she did. Out the front door, down the porch, into the security of her car. She locked the doors and started the engine. In her headlights, she watched shadows struggling through the windows. Chill bumps danced up her arms, but the photo in her pocket was warm. She took a deep breath, placed her car in reverse, and started for home. So that was Lock and Key, and that is from the summer issue of Persephone. Again, you can get that here at Bookish, and it supports multiple writers here and also in Virginia. So that, I mean, I have other things, but like I think that's probably good. So if you guys, you know, I appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys were wonderful. Again, if you want to quickly comment on this post, you can be entered to win a $15 gift card to Bookish that Sarah has so generously provided for you guys. And I just want to say thank you again so much. Let me just, oh, the cat. Yeah, so it's kind of funny, right? I was reading and the cat was actually trying to get my lunch too. So that's why you saw me smiling and parts where I probably shouldn't have been smiling. But thank you for saying I'm handling it well. Yeah. Hi, Anna. Hi. I think it's Ashley. I can't quite see from here. Okay. So, I see a question here. That sounds like an amazing project. Are the writers from across the U.S. or the world? Right now, there are writers involved in Persephone, and they live in Virginia, Texas, Arkansas, here in Arkansas, and also in Oklahoma. But I'm open to writers, you know, around the United States who maybe haven't had a platform before, who, you know, have really great work and just need an opportunity to share it. And yeah, so if you want to send me your work, my email address is hayleighworgan@gmail.com. It's spelled just like my name in the comments there. And I think Sarah is actually, she's got the names here for me. Oh, thank you so much for me to draw to see who wins. I'm gonna kind of turn a little bit more so you guys know I'm not cheating. Uh-oh.
One more.
One more? Okay, hold on.
Oops.
One more.
Oh, that's you. Never mind. This
Okay.
is Rich.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. Okay, Tommy B. Smith, you are the winner of a $15 gift card to Bookish. Yay, thank you so much for participating. Thank you, you guys. I hope to do this again in the future and give another card away at some point too, so please stay tuned. And also I guess I should mention that, and for those of you who don't know, Sarah has so generously allowed me to take over the Facebook on Wednesdays, so you know, stay tuned for the posts on Wednesdays. I'll share, you know, book recommendations with you guys as much as I can. My library experiences sometimes are helpful. And if you come in on Saturdays, I'll probably be here as well. Yeah, so let me put my mask back on.
Oh, you're okay.
But yeah, and then, you know, if you come in on Saturdays, some customers have benefited previously from me being here, because I'm happy to recommend other books to you, not just mine, right? And I also want to say thank you to my boyfriend Rich over here, who is running our camera too.